Forget New Year, New You. This season is about slowing down, locking the doors, and cozying up at home with the one you really want to do nothing with. Your dog. After the holiday chaos, those quiet nights with a blanket, a podcast, and your pup feel like the reset you actually need. Ollie helps make those moments easier with fresh protein-packed meals made from real human-grade ingredients, so your dog can enjoy some quality comfort food too. Choose from 5 recipes and get a personalized plan for your dog's needs. Meals arrive perfectly proportioned with a scoop and storage container, so serving is fast and mess-free. And with Ollie's in-app on-demand health screenings, supporting your dog is easy, ensuring more cuddles for many years to come. Visit ollie.com/truecrime and use code TRUECRIME for 60% off your first box.
The family of 5 seemed to have it all. Todd Mullis, his wife Amy, and their 3 children were raising hogs on their Iowa farm.
Amy came to me and said, I would really like to quit my job. I think by being home with the kids and you and not having to work weekends, we could spend more weekends together. She could be a stay-at-home mom, which she wanted to be.
Todd says he was happy to hear this from Amy about 6 years ago, that she wanted to quit her nursing job at the local hospital to spend more time with the family. Todd then worked to build another hog barn to substitute the loss of income. The family acquired more land and spent time hunting, fishing, and doing outdoor activities. In November 2018, Amy needed to have surgery for an ongoing issue with her menstrual cycle. The surgery went well, and the doctors told Amy not to lift anything heavy while she recovered. About 4 days later, on November 10th, 2018, Todd and his 13-year-old son, Tristan, began the early morning chores. When they came back home, Amy had breakfast waiting for them, and she was working on a puzzle. She decided she wanted to help Todd and Tristan with the day's work. The ground was frozen, so Todd decided it would be best to work inside, getting the barn ready for piglets that were due soon.
At some point, Tristan noticed that Amy seemed to maybe lose her balance, comment upon her dizziness. And this is something that Todd had witnessed even before she had had the medical procedure on November 6th.
Todd told Amy, "Honey, take it easy. Why don't you go back in the house? Don't push yourself." He suggested that Amy go to a small red shed on the farm to get a pet carrier for orphaned kittens they were nursing. Todd and Tristan continued their chores. They later noticed that Amy didn't come back with the pet carrier. Todd asked Tristan to go get it instead.
Tristan goes to the shed where an awful, awful thing had occurred. Tristan yells for his father. He comes, he finds her in the shed, horribly, with this corn fork stuck in her back.
Todd ran over to the red shed and found Amy with a corn fork in her back. It's like a pitchfork, but with 4 curved prongs. The door to the shed wouldn't open wide enough for Todd to get Amy out, so he had to pull the corn fork out of her back. Tristan came whirling around the driveway in the family pickup truck and jumped out to help his dad. Todd had Tristan get back in on the passenger side and placed Amy across his lap as he started driving towards the hospital. While in the truck, Todd called 911.
Okay, so what happened that she's not conscious or breathing? She fell on a fork. I had a goddamn fork on her. It was her old fork getting in somewhere, and then she was halfway out of the barn.
Todd said Amy fell on a corn fork in the barn. He said he found her lying halfway out of the barn and had to pull it out of her. 911 dispatchers told Todd to pull over and to start CPR on her. Deputies arrived and took over doing the compressions. An ambulance pulled up and took Amy to the hospital. The deputies asked Todd how this could have happened, and he told them about Amy feeling dizzy earlier in the day and said she must have fallen on the corn fork. Later that day at the hospital, doctors pronounced Amy dead and told Todd that she had succumbed to her injuries. But when the doctors examined Amy's injuries, they noticed that she has 6 puncture wounds, not 4.
The doctors and law enforcement knew something just wasn't right. The doctors could tell that Amy was struck at least 2 times in the back with the corn rake. This was not an accident. It was a homicide.
This is Jillian, and you are listening to Court Junkie, episode 98. Following criminal trials and court cases is obviously what I love to do, but sometimes I need an occasional break from all the legal stuff. So whenever I feel like I need a mental palate cleanser, I start playing this game on my phone called Best Fiends. Best Fiends is a puzzle game where you go through levels and solve challenging puzzles. It's fun and makes you think. It's a casual game that anyone can play, but it's made for adults. I'm well into level 100, and I even got some of my friends to start playing it too. I love all the little characters and the fact that I can spend as much or as little time as I want to in the game, and it will always save my spot. It really is a unique and exciting puzzle experience, unlike any other puzzle game out there. You don't need Wi-Fi to play it, so it's great for when you're without the internet, like when you're commuting to and from work or traveling. The game is visually stimulating with bright colors and fun characters like bugs and slugs. And Best Fiends updates the game monthly with new levels and events, so it never gets old. Engage your brain with fun puzzles and collect tons of cute characters. Trust me, with over 100 million downloads, this 5-star rated mobile puzzle game is a must-play. Download Best Fiends free on the Apple App Store or Google Play. That's friends without the R, Best Fiends. Ladies, what an amazing time we live in. We can pretty much order food from any restaurant we want, right from an app on our phone. And some people are pretty much riding around in self-driving cars. But one thing has always seemed to stay the same, coloring our hair. So the typical options are you can go to a salon where you sit there all day and end up spending tons of money, or you pick up a box kit at the convenience store, but that seems to always dry out your hair, or the color just never comes out right. But now there's a new way, Madison Reed. It took a strong woman to shake up the hair coloring world, and that's exactly what Amy Arrett did with Madison Reed, which she named after her daughter. Now you might be thinking, okay, that all sounds great, but how do I match my color? Well, Madison Reed gives you the tools you need so you can color with confidence. Get ammonia-free multi-tonal hair color delivered to your door for less than $25. Visit madison-reed.com. That's madison-reed.com. And now, Court Junkies can get 10% off plus free shipping on your first color kit. Use code CourtJunkie. That's code CourtJunkie at madison-reed.com. Todd Mullis met Amy Fuller in 2003 in a beer tent at the Delaware County Fair in Manchester, Iowa. They dated for a little over a year before the two were married. Todd owned a farm and Amy moved in. Together, they had 3 kids, Tristan, Wyatt, and Taylor. For a while, Amy worked as a nurse at Manchester Hospital.
What kind of things did Amy like to do?
Amy liked to golf. Amy, she was a great nurse. She liked to take care of people. She enjoyed farming. She liked to hunt and fish. And I think probably the thing she liked most was being a mom.
And why do you say that?
Because her kids came first. You know, if I wanted to do something or had something planned, and if there was something going on with their children, that came first. She loved coaching their ball games. She loved being a mom.
That's Terry Stainer, one of Amy's friends and former hospital coworkers. The two were close and would go golfing and take trips together. About 6 years ago, in 2013, Amy confided in Terry.
I distinctly remember we were golfing, and she told me that she had begun an affair with someone that would come up to the hospital quite often.
Now, after you learned that information, did you have any role with regards to Amy and Todd's relationship?
I did.
And what was your role?
I spent a lot of time talking with both of them, you know, with Amy and with Todd, as far as what they were going to decide to do. I talked to one of our social workers at our hospital for advice for good counseling for them to go to if they wanted to make their marriage work. And so they did start going to counseling in Cedar Rapids. I feel like I had a very good finger on that pulse of how things were going between the two of them.
Amy and Todd went to counseling, and it appeared that they were going to make their marriage work. Amy made a deal with Todd that she would stop working at the hospital to be a stay-at-home mom and not be in an environment with other people. But after her affair, Terry noticed that it appeared Todd never trusted Amy again.
That was very hard for her. A lot of times when we were together, she would, you know, say, how long do I have to pay for this mistake? You know, it was very regulated who she could do things with. I was on, it was kind of a joke, the approved friend list that could actually do things with Amy. She was timed when she left home and when she got back, and it was very carefully watched, her activities outside of the farm.
Todd apparently felt like the other man wasn't punished enough, according to what Amy told Terry. So Todd called the man's wife, another nurse, while she was at work and told her about the affair. Despite all this, Todd and Amy continued to make their marriage work and stayed together. The years went on, the kids grew older, and more hogs lived on their farm. In the summer of 2018, Todd reached out to Terry.
He asked me, he said, hey, I noticed Amy's been acting strange again. She's been kind of going off into the bedroom and, you know, spending a lot of time in there alone with her phone. She's kind of showing some of the same behaviors that she had before. And he said, so I looked at our phone bill and I saw just in one day there were 120 text messages to the same gentleman.
Terry took Todd's choice of words of the same behavior as before to mean he thought Amy was having another affair. Terry agreed with Todd that it was strange for Amy to be texting another man 120 times in one day and told him that he needed to speak with Amy, because as far as Terry knew, Amy wasn't having another affair. Shortly after that, Amy reached out to Terry herself.
It started as a text. She sent me a text message and she said, I'm in trouble and I need to talk.
Amy went over to Terry's house and admitted that she was doing things like before. Amy had started seeing a man named Jerry who worked with their farm. She said the affair started out as just sexual, but that it progressed as they became closer. Amy didn't know what she was going to do. She wasn't sure if she was going to stick it out and stay with Todd. She said Jerry also had kids and a family. Todd became suspicious and called Jerry's wife and confronted Jerry himself.
When she very first told me the very first day that she was having an affair, I was so angry at her because I told her, you know, Amy, you're putting yourself in a really dangerous situation. And I said at that time, he is going to kill you.
And why did you say that?
Because Todd is just the person you don't mess with.
At the same time Terry was talking to Amy about her affair, she was also talking to Todd. Todd told her that Amy was depressed at home, crying and being mean to the kids. Terry said she didn't see that from Amy, however. Amy told her friend that she was concerned that if she left Todd, she would lose her son Tristan, too.
You know, all of a sudden Todd is starting to be Mr. Super Dad, which wasn't the case before because he's so involved with the farm. He didn't take time out to go to their activities. And now he was doing things with the children like taking them on picnics or down to their pond or fishing, which had never happened before.
Todd and Tristan began spending a lot of time together. Todd would pull him out of school to have him work on the farm. And he quit band because, according to Amy, Todd told Tristan that band was for pussies and he should play football instead. Tristan emulated his dad, the way he walked, the way he talked, even not wanting to wear underwear because his dad didn't wear underwear. Meanwhile, Todd continued to ask Terry if Amy was having an affair. At this point, Terry did know that Amy was sleeping with another man. Uncomfortable with lying to Todd, but wanting to protect her friend, Terry says she sidestepped the questions. She would tell Todd to talk to Amy, suggested counseling, and asked Todd to take Amy out, away from the farm from time to time. Terry heard rumors in the community about Amy's affair and knew she needed to warn her friend immediately. Amy became upset and insisted on knowing who knew about the affair. She then decided to tell Todd that there were rumors out there about her having an affair, hoping to get in front of them so Todd wouldn't think anything of it.
During your conversation with Amy, did she indicate to you that she was fearful of Todd?
She never came out and said she was fearful of Todd. She was more fearful of what was going on between Todd and Tristan.
At one point, Amy was planning on going to the state fair. She was planning on meeting the man she was having an affair with and staying at a hotel together. Terry said she encouraged Todd to surprise Amy by showing up there so they could have a night out together.
Because I wanted him to find them together when it would be safer for her.
And what do you mean by that?
I felt like if it was in a hotel with a lot of people, that maybe things would not escalate.
Amy's grandmother fell ill, and Amy went to the hospital to spend time with her. Her grandmother did pass, but then in October 2018, Amy was spending a lot of time caring for her uncle, who was now in the hospital. Her son Wyatt was staying at Todd's mother Elaine's house, and when Amy went to go pick him up, things did not go smoothly.
She was crying. She was upset. I couldn't hardly understand her. I said, Amy, what's going on? She said that she went to get Wyatt. Elaine said, he's not going with you because everybody knows you're crazy Amy. Everybody in the neighborhood is calling you crazy Amy. You're crazy Amy. You're not taking this kid because you're crazy Amy. And Amy's like, what are you talking about? And she said, it's harvest, it's a busy time for this family. You shouldn't have been gone. You should have been home and taking care of your children and your family. And Amy goes, I needed to be with my uncle. I needed to help my family. And he kept falling out of bed. And Elaine said, well, they just tie those people to the bed, and that's what they should do to him. And you could have been home with your family.
Amy then got a text from Todd that said, do not go with your mother. She's crazy. This was a text intended for her son Tristan, but went to Amy.
Did she ever tell you about an area to look for her if she was ever missing?
Yes, it was the same day after we had the conversation on the phone. She came to my home. She was crying. She was red-faced. She had mascara running down her face. She was very upset. She said she needed to talk to Todd. She didn't understand why he would say that to Tristan. And she said, Terry, or she called me Tara. She said, Tara, if I ever come up missing, have them look in our new timber. And I said, Amy, you have got to get Randy here, and you've got to go talk to Todd.
Terry said she thought maybe if Amy was planning on leaving Todd, she could help prepare him. She said, hey, Todd, maybe you two really aren't meant for each other. Todd's response took Terry aback.
He said, I have worked for this farm since I was 11, and I will not give it up.
Towards the beginning of November, Amy needed to have surgery. She was having an ablation in order to help with bleeding during her menstrual cycle. It was an outpatient procedure. Todd picked Amy up from the hospital, and the doctors recommended that she not lift anything over 10 pounds. Amy stayed at home to recover. The morning of November 10th, 2018, started out fairly typical on the Mullis farm. Tristan and Todd were up early caring for the hogs, while Amy cooked breakfast for the family. Taylor and Wyatt, the two younger children, ate, and Amy worked on a puzzle while she waited for Tristan and Todd to come back. After breakfast, Tristan and Todd were getting ready to go back out to do more work. It was around 9:30 a.m. Amy decided to go too. They all went to the hog barn to set up heaters for the piglets that were due soon. The ground was frozen, so Todd thought it best to work inside the hog bar, which was about a football field long with 24 pins total, 12 on each side, with an alleyway in the middle to walk through. Amy stood on a 5-gallon bucket to clean the light bulb fixtures. But Tristan noticed that his mom was acting a little funny.
My mom, she kind of, she said she was getting dizzy, and she said that she was bleeding because she had had a surgery a few days prior to that day. And so, we just, she just said that she was dizzy and bleeding. So, and then she kind of she said she was getting really dizzy. So we asked her what was wrong, and she said it was nothing.
Tristan said his mom's legs were shaky, so she got down off the bucket. Tristan and Todd asked Amy if she was all right, and they continued working.
She kind of did the same thing, but this time we told her that maybe it was better off if she didn't do that job anymore.
Tristan, did you say that to your mom, or did your dad say that to your mom?
We both did.
Did your dad say anything else to your mom?
Yes.
What did he say?
He said, I really don't think it's wise for you to stay out here because, I don't want you falling off and getting hurt.
Later that day, Todd asked Amy for help to make sure orphaned kittens they were caring for didn't get injured by the farm equipment while they were working.
He said, if you want to help out, it would mean a lot to us if you would go get the pet cage that was in a barn.
And is that also referred to as like a pet carrier?
Yes.
And do you know where that pet carrier was located?
Yes.
Where was it located?
In the red shed, as we call it.
The red shed was about 30 yards from the front of the hog barn. The pet carrier weighed about 15 pounds and was up against a wall. Todd told Amy that if she could get the pet carrier to the shop, that would help. But if she couldn't carry it, just getting it out of the barn would also be helpful. But if she couldn't lift it, leave it alone and they'll get it. Amy left the barn and headed towards the red shed. Tristan picked up Amy's job cleaning the light fixtures. Todd and Tristan worked together for about an hour.
At some point, did you lose sight of your dad?
Yes.
Do you know exactly how long your dad wasn't in your sight?
No.
The time that you didn't see your dad you obviously didn't see your mother either.
Yes.
Amy didn't come back. Tristan told his dad that he didn't see the pet carrier by the shop, where Todd had asked Amy to put it. Todd told Tristan to go to the red shed and get it himself. Todd then went to change his boots.
Did you then walk to the red shed or red barn?
Yes.
At that point, was anybody else on the farm?
No.
Where did you go then?
I went to the barn.
What did you see when you walked in?
My mom.
And where was your mom at?
She was just inside the door.
And what position was she in?
She was kind of on her hands and knees, face down.
What did you do?
I yelled for my dad.
Did you see anything that was protruding or sticking out of your mom's body?
Yes.
What did you see?
Corn rake.
And where was that at in relation to your mom's body?
In her center back, probably, somewhere around there.
At that point, was your mom responsive?
No.
Did you do anything to see if she was?
Yes.
What did you do?
I checked for a pulse on her neck and her arm, and I put my index and my middle finger under her nose to see if she was, if there was breath.
Tristan said he yelled for his dad, who then came running over. Tristan ran over to the family pickup truck and drove it over to the red shed. Todd picked Amy up, but the door of the shed was frozen and wouldn't open wide enough to get her out with the corn fork still in her back. Todd pulled it out and then carried Amy to the truck. Tristan looked like he was about to pass out, but Todd told him to snap out of it. He told Tristan to sit in the front passenger seat and placed Amy on Tristan's lap. Todd got in and began driving towards the hospital. He then called 911.
Delaware County 911, what's the address of your emergency room? Hello? Where are you at? I'm on the road. I'm out of breath. Okay. What's going on? My wife, what the hell? She saw the full pork sitting in the barn. Okay. She's not responsive. I'm just doing my traveling. Okay, so your wife is in a barn. You said she's unresponsive? No, she's in a bulldog and what you call corn fork. I don't know if she's sick. I don't know. She was halfway out the door. I sent my son over to check on her. Okay. He's yelling at me and I'm on my ride. Okay. She looks gone.
The call is a little hard to hear, but he says, "This is Todd. I'm on the road out of breath. My wife fell on a corn fork and she's unresponsive. She's gone." The 911 dispatcher tells Todd to pull over and that she'll have an ambulance meet him. He tells the dispatcher, there's nothing.
Amy. Okay, so what happened that she's not conscious or breathing? She fell on a fork. I had a goddamn fork on her. It was an old fork sitting in somewhere, and then she was halfway out of the barn. Like, I wanted to get out, and then Tristan yelled, and I ran over there, and she's laying there. And pulled it out of her. I couldn't get her out of the barn. The doors were narrow, and she's not responding.
Todd says Amy fell on a fork and that he pulled it out of her. He says he can't tell if she's bleeding, that when he came in, she was face down in the barn. The dispatcher asks Todd to perform CPR. He says, "I can try. I'll try anything." Todd then lays Amy flat across the seat and he begins compressions while standing outside of the truck. As he pushes on her chest, she starts foaming from the mouth.
Keep doing the compressions until they can help and take over, okay? Keep going, you're doing fine. Keep going. Come on, the spine. Come on. Come on. Come on.
Deputies and EMS arrived and they began to work on Amy. Todd was excited, talking a lot, but not showing a lot of emotion. Two family friends happened to be driving by. They saw what was going on and pulled over. Amy was taken away in the ambulance. One of the friends drove Todd to the hospital, following behind. The deputy asked to see the farm, and the other family friend took Tristan back home. The doctors tried their hardest to save Amy, but she never responded to their efforts and was pronounced dead. Because Amy's death was not of natural causes, the doctor serving as the county's on-call coroner was called in to perform a preliminary exam.
Doctor, did you notice any or observe any injuries on Amy?
Well, notably, she had 6 puncture wounds across the back.
And did that cause you concern?
It got my attention, certainly, to look at the point of entry, how that would have occurred. I was interested in looking at the instrument that she fell on.
Doctor, did you also observe additional injuries on Amy's body as well?
There were basically two sets of injuries. There were the puncture wounds to the right posterior thorax, the right posterior chest, and there were then injuries anteriorly in the chin area, in the zygomatic area, which is the cheekbone area, around the ear on the left, and over both patella, the kneecaps. And there was also some contusions, abrasions over the dorsum of each hand, the knuckles of each hand.
Dr. Craig Thompson noted Amy had 6 puncture wounds to her back. He said her jaw had a deep gash that was clean. There was no gravel or dirt in it that he would expect to see if she had fallen on the ground.
And were the injuries that you observed consistent with an accident or falling on a corn rake?
I found it very difficult to see how 4 tines could cause 6 holes in a single impact.
Now, you indicated that at some point you actually asked to see the corn rake or corn fork.
I did.
And who did you ask to see that?
I asked the sheriff's department if they had that available, and they did.
And where did you go to view that corn fork?
In the ambulance garage across from the emergency department.
And what did you do when you were observing it?
I looked at the tines size. I looked at the spacing. I looked at what appeared to be on the tines.
And did that, and how many tines were there?
There were 4 tines.
And that was inconsistent with Amy's 6 puncture wounds?
With a single impact, it was.
Amy's body was then taken to the state medical examiner's office for a full autopsy. Dr. Thompson contacted the sheriff's office and told them that the number of holes in her back was concerning. The sheriff and the responding deputy interviewed Todd that day. Todd repeated the story of Amy feeling lightheaded and dizzy earlier in the day. 6 days after Amy's death, Iowa Department of Criminal Investigation agent John Turbett asked Todd to speak with him. Agent Turbett told Todd to spare no detail. No detail is too small, he said. He would love to hear everything about that Saturday, November 10th. Todd walked Agent Turbett through his morning and his chores with Tristan. He said while he and Tristan were working, he noticed on 2 separate occasions that Amy was dizzy, and so he told her to go inside the house. Before she went inside, he asked her to get the pet carrier. And sometime later, between 20 and 40 minutes, he noticed the pet carrier wasn't there, so he sent Tristan to the red shed. Tristan then sounded the alarm that something was wrong, and that's when Todd ran over and found Amy with a corn fork in her back. Agent Turbett asked Todd about his marriage. Todd told him his marriage was great, that they had good communication and talked about them being open. He described himself as loving, kind, and comforting with Amy. He said that like with any marriage, when something comes up, he's able to bring that to her, and she's able to bring things to him. Agent Turbett next asked if there was ever an affair while they were married. Todd said Amy had been involved in an affair about 5 years earlier, and that he had to confront her about it. But when asked if he ever confronted her about any other affairs, he said no. By this point, Agent Turbett had already spoken to Amy's friends. He had also spoken with Jerry about the affair and knew Amy and Jerry had been seeing each other up until the time of her death. Jerry had told Agent Turbett that Todd confronted him, Amy, and Jerry's wife. Agent Turbett then asked Todd if he knows Jerry and to tell him about his relationship with him. Todd said he has a business relationship with him and that he subcontracts to provide hogs and take care of them. Agent Turbett asked Todd to describe Amy's relationship with Jerry. Todd said Amy also has business interactions with him. Agent Turbett, unable to get Todd to disclose Amy's second affair, decided to take a break during the interview. he stepped out of the room for about 3 minutes to get Todd and himself glasses of water.
So at this point, apparently having thought about this for 3 minutes or so in silence, he decides at that point, he said, actually, there is something I need to tell you. I did have concerns about Amy and Jerry.
Later that day, Agent Turbett went to the Mullis farm to execute a search warrant and to pick up a couple of items deemed as evidence. He spoke to Todd again, this time in Todd's driveway.
During your conversation with Todd on November 16th, 2018, did you tell the defendant that Amy's death was a homicide?
Yes, I did.
And what was the defendant's reaction when you told him that?
No time after I tell him that, does he deny and say, no, I did not kill my wife. In fact, as I proceed for the next 35 plus minutes to tell him the evidence is very clear, in fact, it is a homicide and you killed Amy, the most I get from him, it's a very flat emotional affect. He says, how? And he says, well, what evidence do you have? And you tell me what the police know, but never, no, I didn't kill my wife.
Did Todd ever react to the fact that you just told him his wife was killed on his property by somebody?
No.
And did he ever, in that 35 minutes, deny killing Amy?
No. And at no other time did he.
Did he ever at that point tell you that there was somebody else on the farm?
No, he did not tell me to look for anyone else that killed her.
Did he give you any ideas of any suspects or anybody with any motive to kill Amy?
No.
And did he tell you at any point that he heard anybody else come onto his farm that day?
No, he did not.
On February 28th, 2019, 3 months after Amy's death, Todd was arrested on charges of first-degree murder in the death of his wife. Have you heard about this company making stylish shoes for women and girls out of recycled plastic water bottles? And that they're crazy comfortable and fully machine washable? If you're thinking it sounds too good to be true, I had that very same thought until I got my first pair of Rothys. I got the Chelsea style and berry lattice stitch, and I am in love with them. I get compliments every time I wear them, and one person actually even recognized that they were a pair of Rothys because they had a pair too. The shoes not only look super cool, but they are incredibly comfortable as well. In fact, as you slip them on, you don't even need to break them in. Rothys are the perfect everyday shoes. They're stylish, comfortable, and they go with everything from yoga pants to dresses. They launch new colors and patterns every few weeks, and they sell out constantly. Rothys always comes with free shipping and free returns and exchanges. So there's no risk, no worries, no reason not to try. Another major bonus, they're fully machine washable. Every time they need a refresh, you can simply toss them in the washing machine. Check out all the amazing styles available right now at rothys.com/court. That's ROTHYS.com/court to get your new favorite flats. Comfort, style, and sustainability. These are the shoes you've been waiting for. Head on over to rothys.com/court today. You guys, I found a great new bra I love from Third Love. Third Love uses the measurements of millions of women to design bras with all-day comfort and support. Their bras come in over 80 sizes, and they have something called a perfect fit promise, where you get 60 days to wash it and wear it. If you don't love it, returns are always free. Here's how it all works. You go to their website and take their Fit Finder quiz, which is just a few simple questions that takes less than a minute to complete. Then, Third Love helps you find your perfect fit. Third Love bras are hands down the most comfortable bra you'll own. Their straps don't slip and their labels are tagless, so there's no itching. They're lightweight and have super thin memory foam cups that mold to your individual shape. And if all that isn't cool enough, Third Love donates all of their gently used returned bras to women in need, supporting charities in their local San Francisco Bay Area and across the United States. Third Love knows there's a perfect bra for everyone. So right now they're offering my listeners 15% off your first order. Go to thirdlove.com/court now to find your perfect fitting bra and get 15% off your first purchase. That's thirdlove.com/court for 15% off today. In September 2019, Todd's case went to trial.
In Amy's last moments on this earth, she would feel the corn rake that she was stabbed with in her back. She would feel that rake pierce her body, fill with blood and air. And she would take those last breaths while she lay on a floor in a shed on her farm. Amy had so much life left to live, but that life was viciously taken from her on November 10th, 2018, taken at the hands of this defendant. We would love for you to get to meet Amy, but you won't. Instead, you will share a courtroom with her killer.
Prosecutor Marie Hughes said that Todd wasn't going to let Amy get away with cheating on him again. More importantly, she said, Todd wasn't going to let Amy take half of his farm. Being a farmer was everything to Todd. He had a cold and calculated plan, according to the state. In the months leading up to Amy's death, he Googled things like how to kill unfaithful women, and he wanted to make it look like an accident. But he wasn't planning on the doctors figuring out what had happened. Todd's defense attorney, Jake Forhelm, disagreed with the state. He said Todd and Amy had been working to reconcile their marriage. Forhelm told the jury that Todd's marriage was important. His children were important. The farm life was important to him, but not so important that he was going to murder the mother of his children and his wife.
She went in the barn. She ends up with a fork in her back. She must have fell. He had no idea. But we will learn, you will learn, that she didn't fall on the fork, that there was 4 times on this fork, and you'll see it here in the courtroom, that there was more than 4 wounds to Amy's body, that she was struck more than once. But when she was there working in the barn, and you'll see pictures of her clothing, she had on several layers of clothes, from a light shirt to another shirt. I think it was 3 layers, and one was a fairly heavy coat. So Todd couldn't see the wounds. There was some blood, and that was about it, quite a bit of blood. So his explanation was the only one he could think of. This wasn't something he manufactured. It was like, what else could it be? She was dizzy in the hog barn. Here we find her with this fork in her back. She was trying to get this pet carrier out of the shed. I don't have any other explanation.
Forhelm then conceded that Amy was murdered.
Folks, again, Todd Mullis' statements about Amy falling on a fork and dying accidentally was an honest, legitimate, on-the-spot explanation or an attempt to explain what happened to her. It was wrong. She was murdered. Horribly. But I believe that you will find that not only at the end of this case that there's a reasonable doubt about Mr. Mullis' guilt, but there's no doubt at all.
He said Amy was murdered, but by someone else. He said it's not their job to prove who did it, however. That's for the state to do. But the jury should find reasonable doubt when determining Todd's guilt, he said. The state began their case by calling people who were closest to Amy. Her brother, Jeff Fuller, said Amy came to him in August 2018, 2 months before her murder. Amy told Jeff she was planning on getting a divorce from Todd later in the year when the crops were out of the fields. Their grandmother had passed away later that day, and Amy and Jeff helped their family clean out her house. Amy asked Jeff to store some of the grandmother's furniture over at Jeff's house so she could have it when she left Todd. About 2 years after Amy's first affair, Todd was alone with Eileen Fuller, Amy's stepmother and friend. Eileen said she told Todd that it looked like he and Amy were working things out. That's when she says that Todd told her that he has to work things out, that he's not going to lose his farm and what he's worked for. Deborah Sherbring used to work in the hospital with Amy. She said towards the end of August 2018, Amy called her crying and screaming.
She asked me if I hear any rumors about her, and I said no, I did not. And being I worked at the hospital, she was crying that she said she was having an affair, and it wasn't true. And if I heard any rumors at the hospital, please stop them.
Deborah said she was confused by this call because she hadn't heard from Amy in a while and hadn't heard of any rumors going around about Amy having an affair.
Amy was all upset, and she was crying that if her husband, Todd, would find out, that he would kill her. And she kept screaming that several times. And then she said, you do not know what it's like to have Tristan tell you if Dad finds out you're going to have an affair, he'll kill you. And then I did not know who Tristan was.
Did you say anything to Amy at that point?
I asked who Tristan was, and she said my son.
And as for Amy's friend Terry told the jury that she didn't know Todd terribly well because Amy did things socially on her own. Terry's the one who encouraged the couple to go to counseling after Amy's first affair. She said while she believes that Todd was controlling about where Amy went and who she was with, she admitted it was the counselor who told Amy she had to be accountable for her infidelity and to tell Todd where she was going. And if Todd really was so controlling, how did Amy manage to have sex with Jerry all those times? In the month of August, Amy had plans to hook up with Jerry around lunchtime. She also regularly met up with Terry to have lunch.
Did it appear that she was using you as a cover for meeting Jerry?
That time it did, but I did not answer her that yes, I would cover for her. I just dropped that subject because I did not want her to feel like I would enable her in that situation. I was there to support her and not judge her, but not enable her.
And it looks like that same day, Todd was texting you, and he seemed very appreciative that she was having lunch with you, and she seemed to enjoy that and make her feel better.
Yep.
After she began her second affair and was worried Todd would hear rumors about it, Terry encouraged Amy to talk to Todd. On August 30th, Todd texted Terry saying that Amy did talk to him and that she was upset and cried a lot. He said on a good note, most of the day was a good day. Terry told Todd's defense attorney that she thinks that Amy thought she was in the clear.
So Todd's reaction to Amy telling him that there's new rumors about her having another affair is that they had a good day and they joked a little. I'm just asking, isn't that what the messages say?
That's what my messages say, yes.
Okay. And you once again, you encouraged them to get some counseling.
I did.
And his response on that same day, the only way to get her there is to drag her there. I told her weeks ago that she had the problem, so I should go because I become a super dad, in her words. And the kids come to me first, and she gets mad so fast. She's very different at home. Just ask the kids.
Correct. I did not see any of that from her.
Prosecutors on redirect showed the rest of that text message exchange after Todd said they had a good day and joked a little. Todd then said, "So are rumors bad?" Terry replied, "Yes, it doesn't really matter who said it. Weird they are out there." Todd said, "Either weird or true, and everyone is lying to me." Jerry, the man Amy was having the affair with, worked with the Mullis farm for about 7 years. He worked for the company that supplied their farm with hogs. He would travel to different farms with hogs to check on their needs. He testified that he began an affair with Amy at the end of May, beginning of June. According to Jerry, Todd confronted him at the end of July about a lot of text messages between him and Amy. Jerry said he told Todd that Amy was texting him about their kids playing sports and about livestock. Todd then called Jerry's wife and told her that Jerry was texting Amy a lot. Jerry's wife apparently thought Todd was crazy. Todd called Jerry and his wife again a few days later to apologize for being suspicious. After that, Amy and Jerry only communicated over email. They typically met on a gravel road somewhere to hook up, but sometimes met in motels or farms. Jerry said he told Amy that he needed to slow things down, but he still saw her and continued seeing her up until her death. Amy would tell Jerry that she felt like a slave or a hostage at home and that she wanted to leave Todd.
Did you and Amy ever have any conversations about what Todd would do if he found out she was having an affair?
One time she did say that if he ever found out, she would disappear.
Were you afraid about Todd finding out about your affair?
Yes.
Why?
Oh, why wouldn't you be? I mean, if you're having a relationship with somebody's wife, you would not want them to find out.
At around 7:40 in the morning of November 10th, the day Amy was found dead, Amy emailed Jerry saying, "Morning, I'm good all day. Love you." Jerry replied, "Morning, I slept horrible. Must have slept too much in the late day yesterday." Amy then wrote, "Bummer. Well, take it easy today." A few minutes later, Amy wrote, "Well, that sucks. Wish I could be there to take care of ya. I'm a pretty good nurse. I don't like to see you sick." Then, at 10:12 a.m., Amy emailed Jerry again, quote, "You know what I'm doing today? Cleaning fucking light fixtures in the barns. WTF?" Jerry replied 2 minutes later, "Nice." Amy never responded after that. Jerry said he was at his home about 45 minutes away from the Mullis farm with his son when Amy was killed. His cell phone records support that.
You continued to provide professional services through your company to the Mullises up through the time of Amy's death.
Yes.
And that involved contacts with Todd.
Yes.
Amy.
Yes.
More so with Todd than Amy?
Yes.
Would this be times when you would come to the farm and meet with him personally?
Yes.
Did he ever show any animosity towards you or anger that he still suspected something of you?
Never.
On November 10th, after Amy left the barn and while Todd and Tristan continued working, Tristan testified that there may have been times where he stopped to get a drink of water from a hose in the office.
From the time that your mom left until the time you found her in the shed, did you leave the hog barn?
No.
Did you go anywhere else other than to get drinks?
No.
Okay. And because of the wall between the office and the hog barn area itself, you would not have been in your dad's sight and he not in yours while you were getting the drinks, right?
Yes.
When deposed, Tristan said that total, he was away from his dad for 1 minute and 45 seconds while getting a drink of water. But on the stand, Tristan could no longer give an estimate of how long his dad was out of his sight during that time frame.
After your mom left and before you went and found her, and the time that you would have spent with your dad, did you ever see him with torn clothes, blood on his hands, emotionally distraught or anything like that?
No.
Tristan, at any point on November 10th, 2018, prior to you finding your mother, did you see Taylor and Wyatt outside?
No.
So you saw nobody else outside but you, your mom, and your dad?
Yes.
And Tristan, did you do anything to hurt your mom that day?
No.
You were never with your mom in the red shed until you actually found her?
Yes.
Forensic pathologist Dr. Kelly Cruz performed the autopsy on Amy 2 days after her death. Dr. Cruz reported Amy having several injuries from blunt force trauma to her face, including a small scrape in the middle of her upper lip, a much larger scrape and bruise on her left jaw, and cuts and scrapes on her ears. She said Amy also had cuts and scrapes on the back of her hands, which could be defensive wounds from a struggle. Amy had more cuts and bruises on both of her knees. Dr. Cruz said these injuries happened either before her death or around the time she was dying. She then described the 6 injuries Amy suffered from sharp force trauma.
The first one on the right entered the chest cavity through the ribs, and that's the one that also exited the chest cavity on the anterior surface and punctured the right breast and breast implant. Then if you go more to the left, above the M on the ruler is a second sharp force injury. In my report, just for the purpose of organization, I made them A, B, C, and D. So the first one on the very right, I called puncture wound A. Then on the left, more left to it, is puncture wound B. So puncture wound B entered the soft tissue and the chest cavity in between the ribs as well. This one hit the right lung in 2 different spots. Then it continued on and went through the diaphragm, which is a bit of muscle that separates your chest cavity and your abdominal cavity. It went through the diaphragm and it also punctured the liver as well.
Dr. Cruz said that one of the puncture wounds through Amy's back was so deep it punctured her breast implant. Another went through her lungs and punctured her liver. She said 2 of Amy's injuries only hit soft tissue. And then she explained the last 2 wounds.
So puncture wound E did enter the chest cavity, but instead of the right side of the chest, it entered the left side of the chest. It went through the soft tissue in between 2 ribs on the left side of the chest. And it was actually so close to the spine region that it injured part of a vertebral body, or that bone that makes up the spine, and injured a part of that as well before it entered the left side of the chest.
Now, doctor, all the way up at of Exhibit 59 on the top, near the right side, do you see the edge of what you describe as puncture wound F?
Yeah, F actually was the only one that was on the left side of the back, and F entered the skin, the soft tissue, and it entered the left chest cavity as well.
According to Dr. Cruz, the wounds went in 2 different directions. 4 of them went from back to front, right to left, and downward. The 2 most left wounds also went back to front, right to left, but they went upward.
And what do those different directions indicate to you?
To me, they indicate that she would have to be impaled with the rake at least twice.
And when you say at least twice, can you tell exactly how many times she was struck?
I cannot. You could consider 1 penetrating wound for each of these injuries, but at least twice, possibly 3 times.
She said that while many of these puncture wounds could be fatal, the 4 that entered Amy's chest cavity were more likely to contribute to her death. When Todd removed the rake from Amy's body, her lungs filled with blood and air, and the pressure led to her death. Dr. Cruz ruled Amy's cause of death as sharp force injuries to her torso. Her manner of death was a homicide. On cross, the defense tried to show that a lack of evidence being tested could have left out other potential suspects.
When Ms. Mullis's body arrived at your office and you began your preparations, did anything that you did there include the examination or the attempt to retrieve evidence or see if any evidence may have existed in her hands, fingernails, that type of thing?
May I refer to my...
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. Just want to make sure. So in terms of, I didn't do a gross examination of her nails to see if anything was underneath them, but we did do fingernail clippings, where we take the top portion of the fingernails with the fingernail clipper, and we put the fingernails and the clipper in a sealed evidence bag.
And why is that done?
So if we have concerns of a struggle and we think DNA might have come underneath the victim's fingernails from a struggle, taking fingernails might be useful in the investigative process.
Do you know whether or not the fingernails taken from Ms. Mullis were examined?
I do not.
Prosecutors asked Agent Turbett to explain why he did not request Amy's fingernail clippings to be analyzed.
Fingernail clippings from the state medical examiner could be potentially helpful if you're dealing with a whodunit, some type of random attacker. But here, the evidence in this case over an extensive 3.5-month investigation The evidence as it kept coming in continued to only point to one suspect. That's the defendant killing Amy Mullis. This was not a whodunit. It wasn't a mystery attacker. Therefore, fingernail clippings would not be particularly helpful in a case like this.
The defense took aim at Agent Turbett, asking him about his interviewing style when he spoke to Todd. They asked if it was part of the agent's plan to not give Todd the chance to respond to things and roll into another topic. Agent Turbett said no. He said Todd had a tremendous amount of opportunity to speak and that he did so.
You indicated that Mr. Mullis didn't deny things. In my notes, you want me to confess to something I didn't do. Did you hear him say that?
Yes.
Isn't that a denial?
I would call it denial. No, I didn't murder my wife. That'd be a denial.
Is you want me to confess to something I didn't do? That's not an admission, is it?
No.
It's a denial.
You can call it what you want.
Okay.
I would not call it a denial.
Then the defense asked Agent Turbett to explain what he meant about the fingernail clippings.
Why was it not helpful or appropriate to look for anyone else?
Well, we don't go hunting for other people. We go where the evidence takes us. And in this case, from the first day that I'm involved, the evidence points towards the defendant killing Amy. There's the possibility of Jerry Frazier, right? He's a person of interest very early on. And beyond that, there's no evidence in this case file that would indicate anyone else was on that property. There's no physical evidence. There's no interview evidence. So there is no need to be looking anywhere else. We're open to all those possibilities, but we have to go where the evidence takes us. That's the only place where we can go.
But the defense pointed out that Tristan told investigators that Todd was with him the entire time in the hog bar.
Wouldn't that alone indicate that there could be someone else involved in this?
If Tristan was telling the truth, right?
So you only investigate things when you think they're telling the truth?
Absolutely not.
So when you decide this is the guy, there's no more looking around.
No, in fact, this is a 3.5-month investigation. It's 40 plus interviews, 19 search warrants. We're of course always open to follow the evidence. That's what we're trained to do. And the evidence, as that investigation continues, always comes back to one person and one person only, and that's the defendant.
All I'm asking, sir, is could those fingernail clippings have led to some other part or more investigation?
Sure.
Okay.
Much of this case is a he said, she said. But she, meaning Amy, can't talk. He can. And he did. The defense called their key witness to the stand.
State your name, please.
Todd Michael Mullis.
Go ahead, counsel.
43-year-old Todd Mullis took the stand in his own defense. He began by explaining his farm's custom hog feeding operation. He talked about his parents, his 2 brothers, 2 sisters, and his 3 children. And he also talked about his marriage to Amy. He said as a family, they loved to fish, hunt, and go four-wheeling. But he admitted it wasn't a perfect marriage, and that Amy had been involved in an affair years prior.
Well, basically, after I discovered it, we decided, immediately that she wanted to make it, quit her affair, go to counseling. She was sorry, and then wholeheartedly work it out.
He said they didn't go to counseling for very long, but it helped. He said Amy seemed to be all in on fixing the situation, and he was satisfied that she wanted to stay in the marriage and be faithful. According to Todd, the counselor told Amy that she needed to be accountable for what she was doing and to let Todd know where she was. He said Amy never complained about it. In fact, Todd said it was her idea. They practiced being open together and talking about anything and everything on their minds. After that bit of counseling, Amy asked Todd if she could quit her job to be at home more. Todd built a second hog farm to make more money and sold chemicals on the side. Amy took over the books to expand that operation. In 2016, the Mullises acquired more land for a farm. They planned on building a cabin on it. He said Amy seemed overwhelmingly happy. He said he encouraged her to go golfing and out to lunch with friends and to take the kids on trips to see family, even without him there. He said from the time they began counseling up until the summer of 2018, he didn't have any concerns about their marriage. But in the summer of 2018, he noticed Amy was acting a little differently. He looked at her cell phone records and noticed a lot of texting between Amy and Jerry. Jerry said Amy was asking him questions about show pigs and their kids' gymnastics. Todd said he was a little unsure about that, so he called Jerry's wife, who seemed to know nothing of it. Todd then apologized to them for the accusation, and Jerry continued to work on his farm. Later into the summer, in August, Amy told him about the affair rumors going around town. Todd said he thought about it for a day or two and then moved on. Everything seemed okay.
From the time that you had these contacts with Jerry and his wife, just to clear the air, up until the time of Amy's death, did you have any suspicions at all that she was having an affair?
No.
Also during the summer, Amy's grandmother and uncle were sick and in the hospital. Todd said at first he didn't mind her not being at home as she cared for them. But after a while, he asked her if her family could take some of the load off sitting with them because the harvest was going to start and he needed more help with the kids. He said his mom did try to kick Amy out of the house for not being home much, but that he stood up for her. Todd then moved on to talking about November 10th and the events of his morning. He said Amy had been cooped up in the house for the past few days while she recovered from her surgery and wanted to join him and Tristan outside.
So when she said, do you need some help or can I help? What was your reaction?
I said, if you're okay with it, that's fine.
He described for the jury how he saw Amy getting dizzy.
She got down a couple times and she would brace herself against the feeder. And she was kind of just like readjusting herself. And I think Tristan asked at first, she goes, "You okay, Mom?" Because he was closer to her. And she goes, well, I just feel dizzy. I'm lightheaded. And then we asked her if she was okay. And she goes, is there something we should be concerned about, She goes, no, I'm fine.
Todd said they all continued with their work. But every so often, Amy would get down and it would take her longer to readjust. She told them she was getting dizzy. They asked if she wanted to go back in the house, but Amy said no, it wasn't that bad. Todd said she didn't want to feel worthless. After Amy continued to feel dizzy, she reluctantly agreed to go back in.
She didn't want to go at first. She kept saying, I'm going to keep going. I'm all right. And then Tristan actually suggested, he goes, hey, Dad, we need to get that pet carrier out. And I go, yeah, Amy, why don't you go do that? Why don't you go get that pet carrier out of the shed? Because we're going to get the skid loader and water towed out. We don't want to run over them cats.
Amy left the hog barn. The three of them understood that she was going to get the pet carrier, put it in front of the shop, and then go into the house. Todd and Tristan continued their work. Tristan said he was going to go to the end of the barn to get a drink of water twice. After about an hour of work, Todd said they went inside to clean up. He noticed the pet carrier wasn't in front of the shop. Tristan offered to check it out. Todd had just stepped back outside when he heard Tristan yelling.
When I stepped in, I initially looked at Tristan, and I looked over, and I seen Amy hunched up, face down, laying next to the door, leaning against the door.
Did she have this corn fork stuck in her?
Yeah.
What did you do?
I more or less just dove down by her. I put my head down. I was like, Amy. I was yelling at her, trying to get her attention. I didn't know what to think. I was just looking at her, and I picked her head up a little bit, and it was just nothing. It was no response.
He said he knew he had to get Amy to the hospital immediately and went to pick her up.
I started to pick her up. I went under her armpits, and I was trying to lift her up, and that fork handle was jabbing in the toe out the caging. And then I realized, hey, this ain't gonna work. So I just set her down more or less a little bit in my arm. I just reached over, I pulled the fork out, I tossed it, and I got underneath of her, and I told Tristan, go get the truck, we gotta go.
He said Tristan took off and Todd tried to get her up and out of the barn. She never responded. Todd said Amy was like a noodle. He got underneath her and scooped her up into his arms and carried her out of the barn. Tristan opened the door to the truck, sat in the passenger seat, and Todd sat Amy over him.
At any point, did you think about just letting her there and calling 911?
I did not. I didn't. I'm a doer, I guess. I wanted to help. Let's go.
Did you call 911?
Yeah, as soon as I got in the truck, out of the driveway, I called 911. I remember when I was on the 911, it was like the 911 call said. I said she must have fell in a corn fork. And then when I got over there, at Brian's, I think somebody asked me again, like, I really don't know what happened. I thought she fell on it. I don't know.
He said he remembers being in the hospital waiting room with his friends, waiting to hear how Amy was doing while they worked on her. He spoke to Deputy Thompson while at the hospital.
I don't know if I explained what I thought happened. I just explained what we were doing that day. He had asked what we were doing that day, and then I just said that I found her there, and I don't know if he specifically asked what I thought happened.
He agreed to go with Deputy Thompson to speak with him and the sheriff. After, Todd went back to the hospital to be with Amy's family. Amy was pronounced dead, and Todd eventually made his way home. His kids and his parents were at home waiting for him. Todd worked on making plans for Amy's funeral and put the kids back in school right away to keep their routine going. He said he hadn't gotten much sleep and had been hearing rumors going around town. A few days later, the sheriff called Todd and said they're wanting to wrap up the investigation. Todd said the sheriff asked him to come back down to the station one more time to talk about it. When he started the interview, Todd said he wasn't expecting to be accused of his wife's murder. He wasn't apprehensive about being interviewed at first, but as the interview grew longer, he became concerned.
When you started into that interview, were you expecting to be accused of your wife's murder?
No, not at all.
Were you still apprehensive about being interviewed by the agent?
Not at first, but then I was after a little bit. I mean, the length of time, I was like, what is going on?
Okay. The agent, this DCI agent this morning said that, in his opinion, you never denied killing Amy. Do you think you did?
Yes, I did.
And you did so how?
I stated that you want me to confess to something I did not do. And in my mind, that's saying I did not do that.
Was he giving you much of a chance to explain things?
Not at all. I tried several times, and he wouldn't give me a chance to say two words.
Todd, did you ambush your wife Amy in that shed that day and brutally beat her and chop her up with that corn fork?
No, I did not.
Do you know who did?
I have no idea.
The prosecution began their cross-examination by asking Todd about his farming operation.
The only people that worked on your farm were you, Tristan and Amy, correct?
No, the younger two helped too.
Taylor and Wyatt.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Taylor and Wyatt at times helped.
Yes, they did.
And I know that sometimes you would help your brothers or they would help you.
Yes.
But you didn't have any hired workers.
No.
And your farm is your legacy, correct? It's what you want to pass on to your children.
If they want a farm.
The farm had an iPad on the property to use for business purposes. But many people, including Todd, Amy, and the kids, also used it for personal things. Detectives collected the iPad as evidence and looked through its search history. Todd was asked about some unusual searches.
On January 5th, 2018, there's a search for characteristics of cheating women. Did you do that search?
No.
Okay. Do you know who did that search?
No.
You have no idea.
No.
And just around that same date, there's a search for what did ancient cultures do to infidelity? Did you do that search?
No.
Again, you have no idea who did that search.
No.
There's a search on here that same date, 16 facts about cheating women. Did you do that search?
No.
And right around that time, did ancient cultures kill adulterers? Did you do that one?
No.
Now, let's see. A couple days later, there's search for Thrill of the Kill. Do you remember that one?
Yes.
And looks like there's a few visited sites, and then after, in that same bunch, there's search for Thrill of the Hunt. So did you do that one too?
Yes.
And then go one more, and it's actually typed in, once you hunt man, will you always feel the thirst? Did you write that too?
Yes.
Todd said that he was watching a TV show with his family, and they started looking up things about ancient cultures that they were wondering about while watching the show. And as for those other searches, like facts about cheating women, he insisted that he doesn't know who did those. Next were a series of searches about, quote, how to make sure your kids are yours and biological father. Then the prosecutor asked about searches around the same time Amy started her second affair with Jerry.
Now, you've heard testimony from Jerry that that he did have an affair with Amy.
Yes.
And you were probably pretty shocked to hear that when you heard about that eventually.
Yes.
And you heard testimony that affair started in May 2018, right?
That's what I heard.
That's what you heard.
He said June, so.
And on May 10th, 2018, there's a search for what happens to cheaters in history. Did you do that search?
No.
How about the search right after that? Once a cheater, always a cheater. Did you do that search?
No.
And right after that, typed in what happened to cheating spouses in historic Aztec tribe. Do you remember that one?
No.
And right after that, killing unfaithful women. Did you do that search?
No.
And the last one of that bunch is a visited site. Punishment is 18 months for killing cheating wife. Did you do that one?
No.
Do you know who did it?
No.
Prosecutor Hughes then asked Todd again about November 10th, the day of Amy's murder. She asked if when he found Amy and then was performing chest compressions, was he at all thinking of his suspicions of her having an affair? Todd said he didn't have one worry about her cheating. In his 911 call, Todd even said he'll do anything to help his wife. Prosecutor Hughes then played a portion of that call and asked him to listen closely to the audio in between chest compressions.
No, Chad, did you just hear that whisper at the end of that?
Yes.
And what did you whisper?
I couldn't hear it.
Okay, I'm going to play it again. cheating whore right there?
No.
So you don't remember what you whispered?
No.
Okay, I'm going to play another clip for you. Do you know what you whispered there?
No.
Did you hear that? So I'm going to play that part one more time. The first clip is 6:53 of that second tape, and this second one is right at 0700. Just try to listen really closely. I just want to know if you remember what you said. Right there, do you say, "Go to hell, cheating whore"?
No.
So you don't hear that?
No.
You didn't hear at 6:53, cheating whore. You didn't hear that?
I didn't hear that word.
And right at that, after you hear a ping, you don't hear, "Go to hell, cheating whore."
No.
Prosecutors gave the jury the following reasons for how they say they know Todd killed Amy. Amy was scared of Todd. Todd is the only person who has a motive. Amy was having an affair. They shared the farm together. Todd had the opportunity, and Todd isolated Amy to the shed.
Amy Mullis will never get to see her kids graduate from high school. She won't be there when they go off to college, and she won't be there when they get married, because her life ended when she was brutally and viciously attacked with a corn rake on November 10th, 2018. Amy Mullis didn't stand a chance. She was unarmed and unaware that she was about to be ambushed by the very man that took a vow to love and honor her, the defendant. Amy Mullis would still be alive today if it weren't for the actions of her husband.
She said the defendant wants you to believe that this was a perfect marriage, but Amy was afraid for her life. Amy was telling her friends that Todd was going to kill her, might make her disappear, and was making plans to divorce him. It's the defendant's cold and calculating planning that shows premeditation, she said. He all of a sudden started acting like a superdad, getting close to the kids. But it was all a part of his plan to kill his wife and make it look like an accident.
On November 10th, 2018, the defendant turned their home into a murder scene. The nightmare continued. It didn't just start back when the defendant started these searches or on the day that he killed Amy, because then it continued. The nightmare continued for Amy's family, for her children, for her friends and loved ones. And why? Why did he kill Amy? Because he didn't want to lose his farm? Because she was cheating? You might not like that Amy was having an affair, but that doesn't mean she deserved to die.
She asked the jury to tell Todd that he's not above the law, to make this nightmare for Amy's friends and family end by finding him guilty of murder. The defense had a different take on what occurred between Todd and Amy. After Amy's first affair, they said Todd and Amy made their marriage work. Amy was a stay-at-home wife and mother, and they bought more land and were working to expand their hog operation to another barn. Todd's attorney said it was Amy who at some point wandered. She began another affair and was worried that her friends would find out. According to the defense, Amy told her friends that she was scared of Todd in order to justify her own actions. They agreed that Amy was murdered, but the question, they said, is by whom? Todd's attorney said he's not there to speculate about who did it, but he pointed out that the red shed was close to a busy road.
The doors to this shed are frozen open. They won't close. Is it possible that somebody could have went in that shed and been in there and Amy surprised him? I know that sounds like a murder mystery, but could it? Whatever happened in there was sudden and violent.
The defense said that Todd should have known not to pull out the fork from her back when he found her, but that he couldn't get her out of the shed otherwise. What a horrible, horrible situation to be in. So he has to lay her on the lap of his son, trying to get to the hospital as soon as possible. And as for what Todd said on that 911 call,
if you listen carefully, and it may be very difficult with that type of equipment, but if you listen carefully, he's out of breath. He's doing compressions. He says, she's cold. She's cold. And he tells Thompson that as soon as Thompson steps up, she's cold. Who? It just boggles the mind that you would be on 911 saying that. If you murdered your wife and you're whispering, cheat her, go to hell, you're going to do it on a 911 call? She's not saying that. And if you have trouble hearing it, you're going to have to let the court know. But she's cold, and he's panting. She's cold. Listen, that is a Hail Mary by the state here, folks.
he said the investigation went off the tracks as soon as Todd said on that 911 call that Amy fell on the corn fork. But Todd had no other explanation at that time, he said. That story was based on what he knew in a moment of extreme emotional distress. Todd didn't know that there were more than 4 puncture wounds. He said even though that story doesn't make sense, it doesn't equate to Todd being guilty of first-degree murder. The jury deliberated over 2 days and then came back with their verdict.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Todd Michael Mullis, guilty of the crime of murder in the first degree, signed by the jury foreperson.
Todd Mullis was convicted of first-degree murder in the death of his wife, Amy. In Iowa, first-degree murder has a mandatory sentence of life in prison. Todd was scheduled to be sentenced later in the year, but that has been delayed. Court records show that he has hired a new attorney to review the case and to file post-trial motions. His attorney recently filed a motion for a new trial, and a judge has agreed to hear it. If the motion is denied, Todd will be sentenced. And that's all for this episode. As always, I'd love to know what you think about this case. Do you think Todd murdered his wife, or do you think someone else did it? Do you think there was enough evidence presented at trial for you to find him guilty? Let me know by joining the discussion on Instagram @CourtJunkie, by tweeting me @CourtJunkiePod, or by emailing me at podcast@courtjunkie.com. Today's episode was researched and written by Jennifer Tintner from the Law and Crime Network. You can follow Jennifer on Twitter @JenniferTintner. If you'd like to hear these episodes ad-free, please consider joining my Patreon at courtjunkie.com/support. You can also sign up for bonus content at the $6 and $10 a month levels. I just released a bonus episode about the trial of the attorney from Making a Murderer who was charged with stalking. So make sure to check that out at courtjunkie.com/support. And lastly, the RealReal is the leading reseller for authenticated luxury consignment. Sell your men's and women's luxury fashion, fine jewelry, watches, art, and home, and earn more. The RealReal makes it easy to sell your items with 3 options. First, experience their free white glove in-home consignment consultation and pickup by one of their luxury managers. Or come visit one of their brick-and-mortar locations for in-store drop-off, where you can meet the expert in person and go through the authentication process one-on-one. And finally, for those of you who want to contribute to the circular economy through consignment, but do not have enough time in the day, they'll send you everything you need for a free, safe, and sustainable shipping process. So think sustainably, consign with the RealReal today, and earn up to 85% commission plus site credit. Authentic, sustainable luxury, only at therealreal.com. Thanks again for listening. Until next time.